Sales just isn't for everyone, man. A lot of people, they say they've been in sales, but like door-to-door sales is different than retail sales. Retail sales is not sales.
So off camera, just before we started recording, I asked you what you think the average, I guess, lifespan of a rep was in some of our portfolio companies, because you kind of have a lot more visibility into
Yeah. I'd say, if you can get people past a month, I would say the average lifespan is between that 5 to 6 month period.
Yeah.
If they don't last over a month, I would call it 2 months or less.
Yeah.
Sales just isn't for everyone, man.
The other interesting thing you said was, I asked you, and I think we agree, it's like between 5 to 10% who even make it over that month, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20. Yeah. A lot of people, they say they've been in sales, but door-to-door sales is different than retail sales. Like,
Of course.
you would agree with me. Retail sales is not sales. You're selling stuff, but it's like, I don't know about you, but I prefer, if I go to the mall, like I don't want interaction with people. I know what I want. I get it. I go.
For sure.
Or I already did research on it. I'm sure a lot of people are the same, but door-to-door sales is definitely different. Call center sales is definitely different. Phone sales is very different than, you get people that say, well, I worked at T-Mobile or AT&T and I did, phone sales. Dude, it doesn't, how much skill do you truly need to sell an iPhone?
Yeah.
It's already sold,
There's different calibers of it. It's the same as, like, I know when we're screening for companies that we have here locally in South Florida, it's like every maybe 6th resume is some person that was at Teleperformance.
Yes.
And to them, that's sales experience. But like Teleperformance, they will literally just hire anybody with a pulse.
Exactly. And really, when you're buying internet for your house, maybe me and you are a little bit more sophisticated, but most people, they just want the best price.
Yeah.
So if you have, Starlink 5,000 internet or something like that, and Verizon comes in at $5 less, like, most people are saving that $60 a year to switch.
For sure.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting statistic, because it's like, obviously most sales positions are super high turnover, especially if they're entry-level sales positions. So like the fact that 5 to 10% even make it over or past 1 month, and we're still able, like, internally to have 80 to 100 full-time employees at any given time.
Yep.
That's only solvable by recruitment. Right?
Only. Yeah.
So like, obviously there's adjustments that you can make if you have very high turnover for your position, whether it's like an entry-level door-to-door or you're running a call center or whatever. But importantly, a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and people in those sort of positions, I think Alex Hormozy, I believe it's from Alex Hormozy, he says a lot of us get stuck in like that optimization mode.
Yeah.
Instead of like just going towards the solution and taking action to solve it, we just focus on like, okay, well, retention's kind of sucks. It's 10%. 10% make it past a month. Let me just try to fix that. And we spend 3, 6, 12 months just trying to fix that, when in reality, unless you have a consistent recruiting pipeline, it's very difficult to make any optimizations at all.
Yep.
So like, how do you really know if you're improving retention if you don't have a steady stream of people coming in to test these new systems with? So like, all of it starts with recruiting. And I know we always keep recruiting on.
We always keep recruiting on. And it's just, the thing is, me and you have a marketing background, so we understand that, if you can spend $1 and bring back $5 to $10, you spend more. Everyone knows that a good sales rep will bring you $300, $500, $1,000, $1 million a year.
Yeah.
But people shut off recruiting because they're like, I need 5 reps. I got my 5 reps.
Yeah.
Or I need 5 reps. I brought in 7. I'm sure 2 will, make it off the team in some way, shape, or form. And then I got my 5, not realizing replacing number 5 with a new rep that's a little bit better than them, and then constantly doing that over and over. Not only does that work and it makes sense, but what if you want to grow to 10 reps? Well, if you have 5 sales reps and 1 manager, you're going to need another 5 sales reps and another manager. Yeah. And from what we found for our own portfolio internal companies, it's very difficult to find an external manager. In fact, we don't have any in the building. We've brought them in and they don't last.
It's much easier to promote internally.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to recruitment. Someone who's coming in externally and you're immediately trying to put that person into a leadership position. They have all the wrong expectations. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand like the nuances of the position 9 times out of 10. There's like niche cases if it's like a roofing sales manager or something and you're offering a really lucrative base. But most of the time, there's nothing really to motivate that individual to come in straight into a leadership position, stick, and then also adapt to your culture. It's much easier and better to just keep a consistent stream going on the lower level where you have guys coming in, proving themselves. You'll get sharks all the time in interviews. Like, it's literally one of your closing lines. You get on with somebody, you meet with somebody fantastic, because you do a lot of the interviews still for internals, and we have somebody else that does them and transition over or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's literally like one of your closing lines in the interview. If you're on, you meet with somebody who's really solid, like just a fantastic candidate, but in their opinion, they're like overqualified for where they're starting. Sometimes we see it with clients, even like they'll just say not hiring, overqualified, and it's like, did you watch any of the training videos?
Yeah.
Where we talk to you about how to actually sell those? Because that's exactly the kind of person where it's like you sell them on starting in position A, and you literally paint the picture of going from position A to position B to position C and how that fits into exactly what they're looking for. And that's the type of person you retain 6, 12, 18 months and make all of your money back on.
Yep. And what people also don't understand with recruiting is there's a snowball effect, right? So like when we first started doing internal recruiting for our insurance offer, we got a gentleman by the name of Matt. He came in and then he put us in. That's like how I met you.
Yeah.
So I met him by not turning recruiting off, because when he was hired, we already had a full office. And I was like, yo, we're not turning off recruiting. Like we have a full office. They're all decent, but they're not great. Yeah. We don't have any great reps. And that's how we found Matt. And then a year later, 2 years later, whatever it was, I get a phone call from him saying, hey, I want to introduce you to this guy named Justin. We get on a phone call and then we start doing a bunch of other, none of that. That's a snowball effect of just recruiting for that offer. And also, if I've had multiple people that were overqualified on paper over the last month or two. And I say the same thing you just said. I'm like, hey, listen, like you're going to start in this role. And if you're really, really good and you follow instructions and you're coachable and you can prove that you can be led to then be a leader, if in 6 months and 12 months you're still in that position, I'm like, that's your fault, not mine. I'm going to give you all the resources. I'm going to give you a blank canvas, but you're behind the driver's wheel here. It's not me making the decision. It's you making the decision.
100%.
Yeah.
And like another really good line that I've used in interviews for HyperHired, if we have like a rock star that we're bringing on and they're like, oh, I'm looking for XYZ. It's a little out of range, blah, blah, blah. It's like, listen, let's just start one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And, if in a month, if in 3 months, if in 6 months, you're as good as you say, which I think you will be for this role, force my hand. Force my hand.
Exactly, man.
That's exactly it. Because if they can truly provide XYZ value, then you would be stupid not to, give them, an equivalent as far as compensation structure or whatever it is.
Yep. No, it's crazy how much people just want to like step into a leadership role. Yeah. And especially for something like internally for HyperHired, you can't be the recruiting manager if you've never done recruitment or never done sales recruitment. We get plenty of people that are like, yeah, I've done nurse staffing, IT staffing. Sales recruiting it is not even close to the same.
Yeah.
Not even close.
We've tried a ton of the traditional recruiter types who did like IT, tech, nurse recruiting, whatever it is. And I don't think anybody on the current recruiting team comes from that background. I think maybe to have one, maybe one out of like 25. Everyone else drops off. They don't perform. They're not at KPI. And it's to the point now where like in the interview, we're like, yeah, we don't usually hire recruiters. We're a sales recruiting company. So it confuses them a little bit initially, but it's like, yeah, we don't usually hire people from recruiting backgrounds because we just find like they don't truly understand this. So like, what's different about you? Why do you understand this?
Yep, exactly. It's more of we want people with a sales background with common sense.
Yeah.
Because for sales recruiting, I feel like that's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's great. Every single person that comes in with recruiting experience just flames out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's safe to say that, recruiting literally solves so many problems in the organization. If you have a culture problem, recruiting and getting new people in will always solve it. If you have a leadership problem, recruiting will always solve it. If you have a team that is like kind of barely skating by and kind of sort of meeting KPI, recruiting is the answer, man.
Yeah.
It's all your people. It's always your people. When I worked at the Wynn in Las Vegas, when I was right out of college, I remember Steve Wynn, he has this quarterly meeting with all the managers and supervisors and stuff like that. And he literally told us, and this is a true fact, if you're a 5-star hotel, it's because of the service. You can never be a 5-star hotel without the perfect service. And he said, the reason that this casino hotel is the best casino hotel in the world is strictly because of you guys. It's not because of the building. It's not because we have really nice chandeliers or the slot machines or tables are nicer. It's because of the service, which means it's because of the people. Same thing with a sales team. It's because of the people. Just because people, and it could be, you can have a team of people that are all good at sales, but if they don't mesh, if there's not camaraderie, if there's not high energy, if everyone's not like trying to like make everyone else level up around you, it's just like sports.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen 3 really good players come together for an NBA team and they don't win the championship?
Yeah. There's a statistic that's interesting. I'm kind of, it's not going to be exact here, but basically a low performer, well, let's start in the high performer end, right?
Yeah.
A high performer can increase the overall productivity of the people around them by 10%, and a low performer can decrease it by, I think it was 20 or 30%.
Yeah.
So like there's so many issues that happen inside of organizations if you're not recruiting consistently. Because, number one, you have that to where like you're kind of just settling for average or slightly below average, people who aren't really aspirational. Like everyone on our recruiting floor, like if they're happy where they are and it's a commission-based role, they can make pretty good money there. But if they're happy there and they don't want to move into enrollment, if they don't want to move into a coordinator role or like a role that's not yet materialized in the company, and they're just like, they want to be there forever, it's like they're not actually a good fit, because we want people who are top performers, who are thriving every day to like come in and really kill it and top the board. And if they're not that, then, that's exactly why we keep recruiting on all the time. And there's a lot of stagnation too that's produced when you don't have recruiting on, because your sales team, those people who are like average, below average, you're basically giving them like a free pass to slack or be average.
They get real comfortable.
Yeah.
They get real comfortable, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's you always have to keep the bar high. You always have to have, there has to be a little bit of a scare tactic there. Like in sales, it's just the most brutally honest position there. If you don't produce, you can't be there. It's either they get fired or the company goes out of business. And if the company cares about, obviously the company's not going to go out of business, you got to replace that person. I've seen so many clients of ours come in and they show us their historical data, and it's just like, what is going on here, man? Like you're letting these people that are not getting sales for like a call center position, if you have agents that aren't writing at least 1 sale a day, all they're doing is just burning up your money. And it's not that they're not writing sales, it's that they're also burning the leads. If I get on a call, if I'm a bad agent, I get on a call and I kind of burn the lead and, let them know that this company is represented in this way. And then you're a top agent and you get on that same lead, they're not buying from you. Doesn't matter if you're Jordan Belfort, they're not buying from you. And that's the thing. People don't look at the hidden costs of bad recruiting or not recruiting and keeping the bad eggs around. You're not looking at the snowball effect of it. It's impacting your culture. It's impacting your ability to convert cold leads into warm leads into sales. It's everything, man. How many times have we spoken to business owners that are like, yeah, the morale at my company is really not too high. And then you ask them, when's the last time you got a new hire? And it was like 4 months ago. You know what I mean? Like there's new faces in our building every single week.
Yeah.
Because that's how it has to be, man. It's just how it has to be. A lot of people, they oversell themselves in the interview. They're like, yeah, I'm a top performer. I'm this, that, and the other. But they have the work ethic of a slob. Like they just don't like to work. They show up to work late. They're not coachable.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather take someone that's hungry, motivated, and coachable over 20 years of sales experience any day of the week, including Sunday. It's not even debatable, man. Like it just, that culture, that it's all about the culture, man.
What's your and this is a good thing to talk about. I believe it's a nice topic that a lot of people I think struggle with.
Yeah.
What's your methodology for setting KPIs on the sales side of things? Like how do you like what KPIs are you looking for?
Mhm.
And let's use first like call center, and then obviously I have a lot of experience on the door-to-door side, just
Sure.
dealing with clients and helping them map that out. But
Yeah.
like on the call center side, what are like your primary KPIs for agent performance?
For agent performance, so I look for, because at the end of the day, we want to spot where the problem lies. You know what I mean? And I don't want to have to listen to phone calls to see it. I want to look at those KPIs to see it. So like, for like, our largest call center campaign, I will break everything down into talk time.
Yeah.
So I'll do calls over 20 seconds, because if a call drops, if it's transferred over, you want to get those outliers out. So 20 seconds to 5 minutes, I'll track. So total calls over 20 seconds, then 20 seconds to 5 minutes, 5 minutes to 10 minutes, 10 minutes plus, of which those 10-minute calls, how many calls converted over 10 minutes, and then overall conversion rate. And those are the KPIs I really look at. You can make a bunch of cases for like, whatever other metric you want to look at, but that served me well for 10 plus years. Just looking at, and you can tell it's like, if an agent is burning calls, you'll see it right there, 20 second to 5 minute, how many calls. And then I put percentages on my spreadsheet right next to each one of them. Yeah. So you take 100 calls, I take 100 calls. 40 of mine are between 20 seconds to 5 minutes. 20 of yours are between that same time length. You're losing them in the intro. Your intro sucks. I don't even need to listen to the calls. I've seen people that take a ton of calls over 10 minutes and their conversion rate on them is super low. So I know that it's the tying them down and you can tell they're scared to ask for the money. Then you got people that their conversion rate over 10 minutes is sky high, but they don't take enough calls over 10 minutes. So then there's something in the middle of it that you need to fix. So that's kind of how I figure out the agent performance side without actually listening to the calls, and then we can dive deeper. But at least that right there helps identify who the managers need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
Because the number on the sales board doesn't always tell the full story.
No, 100%. And I use this analogy a lot. Like if we're trying to optimize for like a certain client or whatever, like obviously our goal is hires, but hires is a lagging indicator.
Yes.
And it's the same in a sales organization. It's like sales are a lagging indicator. And what I mean by that is like what you should be looking at, points of optimization. It's very difficult to optimize for more sales. You have to optimize for leading indicators.
Yes.
So like you mentioned, the talk time, getting that average hire, getting that actual percentage of calls over, X number of minutes higher. Those are like leading indicators because, on average from all the data, if a call goes over, let's say 10 minutes, it has a, let's say 50% higher chance of closing. So just by default, optimizing on that leading indicator, you just made a change that helped improve the metric you were actually, concerned with and trying to improve.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's super interesting. Sales is definitely not the first thing you should look at, because you focusing on sales doesn't make you more sales.
Yeah.
Us focusing on hires doesn't make us more hires. We focus on the process. We focus on, just everything down to the simplistic stuff, the openings of a phone call. The openings of a phone call is everything, because there's only one chance at a first impression. And, if you don't do that, it's just like when we're doing interviews. I shake someone's hand. If they don't shake my hand straight, or if they don't give me eye contact when shaking the hand, I've already started to make an assumption subconsciously.
Yeah.
I've started to make an assumption about this person.
For sure.
And it's crazy interesting, man. Like it's a lot of people focus on sales when they should be focused on the process. The sales is just the residual effect of a good process, So yeah, man. Good stuff. This was episode 1 of the HyperHired. What are we don't even know what we're gonna call it yet. Maybe we'll call it something cool, but
Value Power Hour.
Value Power Hour, or Recruit to Scale.
It is 20 minutes though. It's a little misleading.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll figure it out. But super good to get this podcast off the ground. HyperHired. If this is the first time that you're seeing us on this podcast or interaction with us, we took our knowledge of the call center space and the sales space and our digital marketing expertise, and we kind of formulated all of it into one solution for a problem that we had, which was we couldn't get the right candidates for our own portfolio companies. And then we just collaborated on building a system where we can obviously grow HyperHired, but we can help business owners at scale with the number one problem out there.
Yeah.
Which is recruiting, getting talent in, and then giving a consultative approach to make them more money.
Yeah. It's the biggest problem most people have is recruiting. Even if they're not recruiting right now, it's even more so a big problem.
Yeah.
You know,
100%. And I think that's why that's why HyperHired wins at the end of the day too, because we don't focus on HyperHired as a company making money. We make sure that we give a ton of value to our clients. We make sure that they're paying us a certain dollar amount, but they're getting at least a certain X back on that investment. And the residual effect is they're happy, they stay with us, they refer people, and then we make money at the end of it. But we do not focus on the money, and that's why we make money. Same thing that our sales partners, our clients should do. Focus on bringing those people in, focus on the good interviews and everything like that, the training process, the camaraderie, the morning sales meetings, and the end result would be sales. Just don't focus on sales. It sounds crazy. It sounds really crazy to people, but cool. Awesome. Well, this has been episode 1. We'll see you on the next one. And, you can always find us at www.hyperhired.com. You can find us at HyperHired on all social channels, and we'll see you on the next one.
So yeah.
See ya.